Hello, it's Jamila Ibrahimova.
And Zura Mamagulashvili.
You are watching GIPA Time.
Center Point case. Company's general director is charged with pre-trial detention. Omar Al-Shishan killed. Tarkhan Batirashvili's death is confirmed by ISIS. Election of judges. Members of Lawyers Association protesting against candidates. Center Point General Director is charged with pre-trial detention. City Court made a decision today morning. Gokar Cheulishvili, along with his mother, Maya Cheulishvili, is accused in fraud. Nino Abdaladze and Katerina Zhgenti report from Tbilisi City Court.
The court process of Center Point was held today. The decision was made to leave him in preliminary detention considering the existing circumstances. Vakhtang Cheulishvili left the process earlier before the judge announced final decision.
He agrees with the factual circumstances that he has taken the money and spent it, but he does not confess any guilt. Prosecutor's office calls this fraud, say that there is no such thing. We have the written evidence about the case. Also the testimony of the witnesses. They are the employees of Magnolia and the employees of Center Point Ajara. From these testimonies, we prove that it was a fraud.
As Mayer Cheulishvili's niece Nino Daraseli claims, Salome Charkuyani and Georgi Mindeli are innocent.
What else can happen that those people who were only working there for a small period of time are put in prison because of us? Nobody wants freedom if other people suffer. My aunt is already in prison. Guka is in prison. My mother appears on TV every day begging to arrest her. What else should we do that the court process is not delayed and these people don't suffer?
There's a lot of evidence connected to Salome Charkuyani proving that she is guilty.
Batirashvili's death is confirmed by ISIS. A senior commander and member of ISIS was reported dead by Pentagon on March 8, but ISIS denied the information then. Batirashvili is one of the most wanted terror facilitators from the Islamic State group. Sofa Basadze explored the issue.
Alhamdulillah, сегодня мы обрадуем очень, что мы есть участники, которые мы разрушили эти границы, которые...
ISIS confirms a senior commander was killed. Amaq agency says Abu Omar al-Shishan, also known as Omar the Chechen, was killed. The Pentagon is trying to verify whether the commander died in one of their recent attacks. Minister of War Omar the Chechen, Abu Omar al-Shishan. Tarkhan Batirashvili was born in 1986 in a small village of Birgiani, Bangisi Gorge, Georgia. Tarkhan finished high school and in 2006 he got drafted into Georgian military service. The jihad in Syria and Iraq was not Shishan's first experience with combat. He previously served in Georgian army during the war with Russia in 2008. 2 years later, Tarkhan's military career came to an end. He returned to his village in Bangisi. Shishan was traveled to Egypt possibly in February 2011. In late 2011, Shishan found himself in Turkey to get to Syria. Shishan's army of emigrants formed in March 2013, pledged allegiance to ISIS for jihad against the Syrian regime. On March 8, 2016, the Pentagon announced it had targeted Shishan in airstrikes near the town of al-Shaddadid in eastern Syria. Subsequent reports have claimed Shishani was clinically dead. Then reports quoting Pentagon officials said that Shishani survived the attack, but then died of his injuries. Today, ISIS has confirmed a senior commander has been killed.
It can be some kind of link in case to cover up his appearance in other territories, so-called controlled territories by ICC, because you mentioned the information which was spread out in March and was proved that Omar al-Shishan was killed. But it was mentioned Syria at that time. Now he reportedly killed in Iraq, so it can be still leaked information in case of covering up high-ranking ISIS militaries' appearance in other territories.
We invited Dominic Sagara to our studio. He is journalist affiliated with media outlets, the Institute for War and Peace Reporting, the Clarion and Diffie Watch. Zura will have an interview with him.
Hello, Dominic. Thanks
Hello.
for being here. Now
Thank
let's
you.
start, right? So the first question is, why it's important that 4 months later ISIS proved Batirashvili's death?
It's important because before we didn't have a clear confirmation. Like the reports differed. United States claimed that he was killed in Syria during a military airstrike, but no confirmations were coming from sources in ISIS, and also family of Tarkhan Batirashvili in Bangisi didn't announce a mourning period. Right now it seems that this information is much more reliable. It says that Tarkhan didn't die in Syria, though. He died near Mosul in Iraq in unclear circumstances. And there are already signs coming from Bangisi, like reported by local media, saying that the family is expecting this information is true. They're still not accepting condolences, but it's pretty much becoming a fact in the valley as well.
Mm-hmm. So he was a strategic person for ISIS. So what do you think? What can his death change for ISIS or for Georgia?
Mm-hmm. For Georgia, not much. Like it's very difficult to say what it will change for ISIS because we know very little about the internal structure of the organization. Like we don't know how decisions are being made. Like I can only speculate that he was a very experienced field commander. So in terms of their military capacity, like they will definitely miss him. But unfortunately, I'm not tracking developments in Syria. Like I focus on Caucasus more, so I cannot say much about this issue.
So you think that the confirmation doesn't mean anything for Georgia? So you think so?
I think that Tarkhan Batirashvili became some kind of idol for many Muslim youths in Georgia. like who sympathize with Islamic State and like more radical strains of Islam. As for Georgia, like there was, I think it never had much influence and it will not have much influence. Like the Georgian state is obviously not supporting ISIS in any way. They are not supporting Tarhan Batirashvili. After he left Georgia, they had very little leverage over him. So, except the fact that now his name and Georgia together like will not come up so often in media reports, I cannot see like much influence.
So I wanted to ask that what do you think why these kind of things become popular in youth, especially not only Georgia, as we know from many countries there are youth going there and fighting and dying and so on. What do you think? What's the reason of it?
So first of all, when we talk about media attention, like there's something very peculiar about the figure of Umar Shishani. He has this exotic look, like a red-bearded terrorist, like different from what we're used to, like more darker Arab-looking fighters. He's Chechen-speaking, Kist, which means that he's at some form of intersection between Russia, West, and Chechnya. On one hand, in Western imagination, Chechens are fighting against Russia as the good guys, but also on the other hand, like they are seen as terrorists, like someone untamable, fearless, like fighting like on behalf of terrorist organizations. So because it's something more familiar to the figure of Umar Shishani here on ground in Georgia, celebrity as I like fight for someone new and find his own destiny.
This was the interview with Dominic Takara. Now back to the news. Election of judge in High States, including those who are already appointed from 125 candidates. See details in the report.
Elections of judges has begun at the High Council of Justice today at 10 a.m. Members have discussed 20 candidates from 122. 16 members were finally chosen, but two appointments still cause a controversy and protest.
There was voting for two candidates for High Council Justice, and two of them were appointed. There are Tamar Alania and Merab Aprinashvili. Those are two people who had a press conference to support Levan Murusidze. While in 2-3 days, the closed voting was scheduled.
Apart from two controversial candidates, protesters also oppose the secret voting system.
If the law will include this in the future, and the decision will be made to conduct voting, I think that to take such an important decision as to appoint the judge should happen in the secret. It is included like this in the law. However, if I hear the proof from the authors of the law project why secret voting is unnecessary, maybe I will agree.
Until the end of the day, all 65 candidates should be elected. Among them are several other judges. Huge concrete constructions near Tzneti Street was constructed
and every
way, and this was not the first case. Tunnel and garages.
მოეწყო სათავისებთან რამოდენიმე ადგილზე
Word as well. Water rushes from the tunnel.
Planned by Tbilisi.
These mass carried by the river and stuck into the tunnels won't be all. Starting the project, we choose the symbolically.
With the amendment
in Nurlan
To kindergartens as others.
There is no kindergarten.
The Saral village has also the same problem. The village has lots of problems, but kindergartens.
I am a teacher, and along with my lessons, I also which we could trust our kids. It would be very comfortable.
He's also a teacher in the school. He says that kindergarten. The theater was reopened 12 years ago, but it looks only on papers. Although this is a state theater, it receives only salaries so small, so funny numbers.
Actors complain about the condition of the building, saying it's impossible to work in this condition.
The biggest square meters left for the theater. Other parts are occupied. Anything here, the whole building.
But they categorically refused. Only known is that homes are closed up. The Ministry of Culture says that